With the winter update now available for Football Manager 2024, it might be a good time to start a brand new save game. And the one thing that you're going to need if you start a brand new save game is bargain players. In today's video, I'm going to show you some players that you can sign for under £10 million that could prove to be real bargains in your squads. We're going to kick off the list of bargain signings for under £10 million by looking at Patrick Berg. He's a 25-year-old Norwegian who has been capped 18 times by the national team and plays his club football for Bodo Glimt. He's a central midfielder who can play either as a defensive midfielder or an orthodox central midfielder, and he begins the game with really good positioning, teamwork, work rate, determination and natural fitness. If you sign him at the start of your brand new save game, you can expect to pay around £8 million for the player. And if you think that represents a good bit of business, in 5 years' time you could end up with a player that looks like this. In the sim that I ran for this video, he would move to Brentford, where he would play 61 times, before moving on to Galatasaray, where he would play 56 games and score 2 goals. He would be valued in this save at £28 to £83 million. The next player on this list is Carlos Fernandez. He's a 27-year-old Spaniard who plays his club football for Real Sociedad. If you are in need of a tall, strong attacking player, this guy could be the one for you. He starts the game with only 12 acceleration and 14 pace, but he has 13 for strength, 14 for jumping reach, 14 for heading and 15 for finishing. At the start of a brand new save, you can offer Real Sociedad £7 million, and that should secure a deal for the player. And if you think that fee represents good value for money, this is how he got on 5 years into the future in the sim that I ran for this video. He would move to Espanyol, where he would play 154 games and go on to score 56 goals, giving him career stats of 117 goals from 386 total appearances. At the age of 32, he is now valued at £4 to £12 million. The next player up is Fran Garcia. He's a 23-year-old Spaniard who has been capped by the under-21s once and plays his club football for Real Madrid. He is a left-sided player who can play anywhere from left back to attacking midfielder on the left-hand side, and his game is all about his pace and acceleration. He starts the game with 16 acceleration and 16 pace. He also has 12 for his passing, 15 for his stamina and 14 for his determination. At the start of new save games, you can pick him up for around £7.5 million, but Real Madrid may want a percentage of any profits from future sales. If you pick him up for that price and put him in your first team and develop him as a player, you could end up in 5 years' time with a player that looks like this. In the sim that I ran for this video, he would go on to move to Real Sociedad, then Girona and Lyon. He would play first team football at every single team that he would visit, playing 29 times for Sociedad, 83 times for Girona and 30 times for Lyon. In this version of the save, he's valued at £17 to £51 million. Next up on the list is Albert Gronbaek. He's a 22-year-old Danish under-21 international who plays his club football for Bodo Glimt. He's a versatile player who can play as a central midfielder, an attacking midfielder or as a wide player if needed. At the start of the game, he has 15 acceleration, 14 pace, 15 first touch, 14 dribbling, and he comes with 15 flair. If you go straight to Bodo Glimt at the start of your save game, you should be able to agree a deal with them for around £6.5 million. And if you're willing to spend that money and develop the player at your club, in 5 years' time, this is roughly what he could turn into. In this sim that I ran for the video, he would transfer to Porto, where he'd play 39 times, scoring once. Then he would move on to Utrecht for a season, where he would play 14 times, scoring 3 goals. Then he would move on to Sporting CP, where he played 31 times. His current value in this game is £4 to £12 million, but that's mainly due to the fact he's running his contract down. The next player on the list that we're going to look at is Rokas Pukstas. He's an 18-year-old American who has been capped by the under-20s and plays his club football for Hajduk split under-19s. He's a central midfielder who is most comfortable as an orthodox midfielder, but can also cover as a defensive or attacking midfielder if needed. Looking at his attributes at the start of the game, he comes with good natural fitness, stamina, anticipation, determination and passing. If you go straight to split at the start of a brand new save game, you should be able to agree a deal for around £5 million for the player. And if you think that is money well spent and you can develop the player, in 5 years' time, you might end up with something that looks like this. In this version of the sim, he would choose to go to Feyenoord, where he would play 43 times, scoring 5 goals, before a move to Club America, where he has played 79 times, scoring 9 goals. In this version of the game, he is valued at £5.6 to £16.5 million. The next player we're going to take a look at is Adrien Bernabe. He is a 22-year-old Spaniard who has been capped by the Spanish under-21s. He currently plays his club football for Parma. He is a product of La Masia, but left Barcelona to go to Manchester City and has now ended up at Parma. He's a player who can play in a number of midfield positions, be it a central midfielder, defensive midfielder or an attacking midfielder. Can even cover on the left hand side of the pitch too. At the start of a brand new save, if you make an offer to Parma, they'll look to deal the player for around £6.5 million. And if you choose to pay that fee and develop him in your first team, in around 5 years' time, you could end up with a player that looks like this. In the sim that I did for the video, he would go to Atalanta from Parma, but only play 4 times there before he would move on to Lyon, playing 83 times and scoring 15 goals. In this save, he's valued at £28 to £84 million. Next up, we're going to be looking at Rokas Assade. He's a 19-year-old Chilean who has been capped by the national team twice. He plays his club football at Universidad de Chile. He is a pacey, quick attacking player who starts the game off with 12 pace, 14 acceleration, first touch of 14 and flair of 16. He can play in a number of attacking roles. If you go straight to Universidad de Chile at the start of the game, you can do a deal for around £7 million for the player. And if you choose to pay that money for him and develop him in your first team, you could end up with a player that looks like this. In the sim that I did for the video, he would move to Borussia Mönchengladbach, where he'd play 85 times, scoring 10 goals, and in this save, he'd be valued at £11 to £33 million. The final player on this list is Raul Torrente. He is a 22-year-old Spaniard who has been capped by the under-21s. He plays his club football for Granada. He is a player who can play as a makeshift left-back, but mainly operates as a centre-back. Standing at 6'4", he has good jumping reach and heading, and also comes with 17 tackling. At the start of a brand new save, you can make an offer of around £6 million to the player, and that deal should get accepted. And if you think that that represents good value for money and develop him in your first team, this is the type of player that you could end up with after 5 years. In this version of the sim that I ran for the video, he would move to Borussia Mönchengladbach, where he would play 101 times, scoring 3 goals, and he'd be valued at £15.5 to £46 million at the age of 27. So that's my list of bargain signings that you can make for under £10 million after the winter update on FM24. Are you planning on signing any of these players? Let me know how they get on for you in the comments section down below.